Now let's take that data, that survey.html page, and we're going to make some changes to it. First, we're going to begin by adding a button. So input type equals button. Now the button needs to have something happen. On click equals change language English. I've got English in quotes. So I'm going to be sending the word English to a JavaScript function called change language, which of course doesn't exist, but that tells you we better create some JavaScript in here. And then I'm going to add a class equals English as well. Now class equals English tells you we're going to be adding some style sheets. Now we already have a style sheet up above, but we're going to add some stuff that's specific just to this right here. So we're going to create a button. The onClick is going to call a JavaScript function, and that button itself is going to have some CSS that goes with it. So while we're at it, we're going to create a button for Spanish, French, and German as well. So we're going to have 4 different possible languages. Now let's take a look at the style sheet first. What we're going to do is create English as one of the .English, open and close our brackets. And I've got a background image which says the URL is going to be /media/images/flag/english.gif. So I've got a few GIFs, each one representing the various flags of these languages. The height and width. Let's make the height 30 pixels and the width 40 pixels. So it's going to be pretty small. And the cursor gives me a pointer. If I don't do that, it won't give me a cursor pointer. So I want to do that, and I'm going to, of course, do that for Spanish, French, and German as well. Slightly different, just different GIFs, but differently named. Now, back to the JavaScript. That's going to take a little bit of work. I got a function called change language that's going to send the language to this function, you know, the word English, Spanish, French, or German. And I'm going to take this variable, I'm going to call it color ENG equals, and in quotes, what am I going to put there? Well, I'm going to go back to that division ID equals fave color, and I'm going to take whatever I got inside that division, that's what I'm going to put there. Of course, it doesn't look good that way, so I'm going to turn it all into one line. And it's hard to see, it's off the screen, but it's all there. And what I've got for color English, I'm going to then do for Spanish, French, and German. Now I had to go and research those. I've got that code for you, not a big deal. And then, of course, an if statement. If the lang equals English, that's a double equal sign comparison, then it's going to take document.getElementById, parentheses, fave color with quotes around that, .innerHTML equals color English. So what it's doing is it's taking the contents, remember that div ID equals fave color? It's saying replace that with this new value that I've got here of color English, or color Eng. And while I'm at it, I'm going to do the same thing for Spanish, French, and German. I'll just add those. Now, it's going to do the same thing for season. I create a variable season Eng and copy whatever is currently in the code there in that division, ID equals fave season. Anything that's in there, I'm going to copy that, paste it into the variable season Eng, and put it all into one line because it works a lot better that way. And while I'm at it, I will then add that for the Spanish, French, and German, and then I can go and put that right into my if statements, document.getElementById fave season.innerHTML equals season Eng, and I'll do that for all 4 of them. So now I've got both those working. Favorite pet, I want to grab that information there because, of course, I'm going to put it into the pet Eng and paste it right there. At that point, turn it into one line. So I've got a pet English, and I'll do the same thing for the other 3 languages. And so now I've got those variables. Go into my if statements where I add the document.getElementById favepet.innerHTML equals petting. So what I'm doing is putting in that code there. Do it for all 4 of them. So that should be working now. And the one thing you want to just make sure you got all your correct parentheses, that you've opened and closed the function properly, that you've opened and closed each if statement. And then what you see here is the 4 flags, and in it says what is your favorite color and so on. That's the default setting because that's what's down in the HTML to begin with. But if I click on the Spanish button, it'll switch all those, including the pick list, and switch to French, and I'll get that. I switched to German, I got that. Either way. And that's how we're going to turn our survey into a multi-language survey.